You might see certain characteristics about me that you don't appreciate as a friend, but it's not like, oh, he hasn't changed in 2 months, I'm leaving that. It's a long...
He hasn't.
I tell my kids all the time, they've become sort of the button generation. And then his impatience led to a sin, to the point where even the Jewish people rejected him.
But what about purpose in real life? How does purpose and patience work together? Hey, this is Josh from Eternity Collective.
What's up? This is Amu.
Time to grow.
Bro, you know what? Recently I've been, curating a lot of advice, but it was fun to see that all of them were somewhat related to this one word. You want to guess what that word is?
Sure.
It's of course patience,
I think it's a very interesting topic, and correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone, even probably you guys watching, there's been moments where we've all been impatient, where we could have been more patient.
I always notice this pattern of us, being impatient about something and then learning to be patient and then growing to become people who are more tolerant and willing to wait, go through the journey and stuff like that.
And I notice, I tell my kids all the time, they've become sort of the button generation. They're just used to pressing a button and getting a reaction. They're used to changing things very quickly. So they get bored very quickly, or they can become impatient, right? One good example is when we're in the car, we hardly listen to the radio because, we have Spotify now, of course. Could just change songs. But sometimes when we listen to the radio, even both of them, they'll just be like, oh, I don't like this song. Could you change the song? And I'm like, I can't change the song. This is the radio. I could change the channel.
Skip.
But I think as time has gone by and as technology has evolved, we've definitely become more impatient. Even today, we had lunch, you, me, and a couple of friends from church. And at some point, I was like, hey, this order is taking long,
Yeah.
I got so used to things being delivered within 20 minutes, but it was a big order. But yeah, just that mindset of why is this taking so long? It should be here by now. I think we could all be a little bit more patient.
I'm just reminded about how even for Moses, right? He had to wait for 8 years before he could actually be the leader that he was called to be. And 80 years is a long time, 8 years, and that's a lot of time to wait. And, probably that's why he's called I don't know what that word is exactly in the Bible, but it defines his nature of peace, Moses being this person of peace, right?
In order to be patient, you need to have peace, right? You need to have that humility, you need to have that calmness to sort of wait, right?
Right.
Or be patient.
Of course.
Give time or...
Yeah.
And it's interesting you mentioned Moses because, as you guys know, he had to make a decision, right? Like he was Egyptian or raised Egyptian in Pharaoh's palace. And at some point he decided, you know what? I'm a Jew and I'm going to pursue what is important for the Jewish, for my Jewish family. And when he made that decision, what happened next? He murdered someone because of his, I want to say, impatience, right? Like he wanted to walk into that purpose immediately. And one of the ways he did that was actually by committing murder, right? So, and what did that murder do? What did the impatience then cause? It caused him to flee for 40 years in the desert. He basically, so he made the decision and then his impatience led to a sin, a very harsh sin, to the point where even the Jewish people were like, hey, we don't want to be led by you. Like, what, are you going to judge me too? Are you going to murder me like you murdered the Egyptians? Even the Jewish people rejected him. Obviously, the Egyptians were after him for the murder. So he ran away, right?
Yeah.
And he ran away from the purpose because of his impatience, actually. And now speaking about it, that speaks to me as well.
You remember the time that when we actually met, you were this bright-eyed boy, really, going for this sort of, this exotic career that you were wanting to build in public services.
Almost 10 years ago now,
right?
Man. Yeah.
And then it almost felt like, from that place, 10 years ago, being really focused on career aspirations.
I
Right?
was driven, guys, like seriously driven.
Right?
Yeah.
To a place where you kind of like, okay, you know what? This is not important. There are so many other associated elements that build a good life. A good life is more valuable than a great career, right? And I see that transformation. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was very driven, and I had goals. I had certain things that I wanted to achieve, impact, influence, and I think, especially when I got children, I just took it was almost like a not even hitting the brakes, but it was almost like a collision, right? Like you understand, for example, health is so much more important than sometimes
Of course.
just being there for my kids, right? Like, so suddenly I realized, hold on, like this thing that drives me. And I used to put in hours, and I still put in hours. I'm still dedicated to my work, but these things that drive me are not drivers anymore.
Remember that time that we were in France in this Italian restaurant?
Yeah.
By the way, never do Italian restaurants while you're in France. But then, we were waiting for, though the food was world class, the amount of time that the guy made us
Took
wait.
us like 40 minutes, 45
Maybe
minutes,
an
an hour
hour,
even, yeah.
Right? And then we really didn't enjoy. There was no enjoyment of the reward or the payoff, just because of the fact that we were already consumed by our impatience.
Exactly. And it led to us being cranky. It led to the kids being cranky, if you remember. Another thing that hits me when I think of patience is I think of time. I think the essence is when you're being patient, you also really allow yourself or the person you're being patient with time. And that's something that we don't have anymore in our culture. That's something that I don't see myself as much, but it was worse when I was younger. And I noticed that as I've grown older, I realized certain things do take time. For instance, also at youth church, there'll be young people coming into the group, and we just notice, they're misbehaved, they're loud, or they don't pay attention, and they're disturbing the class. But I notice now, for me, it's natural. But previously, I'd want to change them. I'd berate them, or I'd be tough on them, or I'd just be like, "Hey, can you please stop doing that?" But now I notice that you have to build that relationship. You have to build that trust.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, why is this kid like this? In fact, I've learned a lot from Kay through this, and learned that it takes time to see character change and behavior change. So,
of course.
Yeah.
By the way, Kay is the one who's filming this video. You'll get to hear from him soon.
Because I was so ambitious, I was willing to change careers. I was willing to change jobs, willing to, grow on the ladder. And now I think twice. Now, for example, even offers that I get sometimes, I'll be like, you know what? This will take me away from my kids, or this will take me away from the things that matter, or these, the responsibility is great, and I'm honored that I'm getting this type of offer or this type of interest, but at the same time, do I really want it? So I started shifting my focus to things that matter, and I think that's what patience is at the end of the day, right? I was watching this YouTube video, just like you guys are watching it YouTube right now, about this one guy talking about Christianity, and he talked about it being like when you receive salvation, you enter the hallway.
Okay.
And then your walk in Christ is in the hallway. And then once you die, you sort of enter
another hallway.
Yeah, you enter eternity, right? And he was talking about how the hallway is where we actually grow in Christ. So Christ is the door that gives us redemption. And then in redemption, we're walking together with Christ, growing in Christ. And then Christ is the door where we enter eternity. And he was saying that, a Christian's main goal is in that hallway to grow. Through challenges, career challenges, familial challenges, and growth is a lifetime thing. It's not something that just happens until you're 30. And when I'm 30, I'll have made it, I've arrived. It's not something like that. It's a long-term thing. It's a long-term view.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, for a matter of fact, for me, it feels like every 10 years I'm chasing a new purpose, a new idea, a new sort of set of options that I believe is from God. And it always makes me impatient at the beginning. And then when you look back, it always feels like, there was definite purpose in God's leading. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe sometimes being impatient can lead to delay, which is interesting, right? Because actually you're rushing things because you want something, but by rushing, it leads to further delay.
I mean, for example, talk about this channel, right? I mean, we started this 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And when we started this, I think we were thinking, oh, you know what, we have 2,500 subscribers, we should grow to 100,000, blah, 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 in this year. And so many goals and targets. But then it came to this point where we really started to understand the purpose of just creating, because we love to create, but at the same time using that as a vehicle or an opportunity for people to receive something of value from us, right? And that's been our journey throughout this whole thing. But it's also the journey of, being patient with God's purpose and letting His platform develop the way that He wanted to develop, and us also letting go the idea of, I got to achieve this, I got to do this, I got to make it happen,
You said the key word, letting go.
Letting go.
I think that's part of being patient as well, right? Like letting go.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. Cool.
And even this community last week we were having this conversation, if you remember, about the fact that I said, I feel like we need to build this community in a way that it's purposeful. And, that was the time we were also discussing about the fact that, you can't expect, everything to happen on day one. You can't expect people to show up on day one. You can't expect everybody to just, get down and do the stuff that you're thinking that will happen.
Expecting,
right? And then we decided on the fact that, we got to be patient, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's like nurturing children. So at some point in time, you need to build it together, right?
Yeah.
And those sort of things,
And I think even there, right? Like our purpose for this community is fellowship, to grow together.
Yeah.
If we push it, if we drive it, we might drive people away.
Yeah.
So we will counteract or counter do or the things that we actually want to achieve, right? And again, that goes back to this thing that we're talking about Moses, how impatience can sometimes actually lead to delay. Whereas if we let it grow organically, if we allow God to move within it, there'll be a lot more power. And actually the thing that we want to achieve, the fellowship, will be stronger because of those foundations that were built over time, right? And not rushed into.
What I also see is the fact that I think us as becoming fathers, taking on a different, almost like adding another chapter or another leaf to your whole identity, also took away the focus from, the sort of, okay, it's all about career to the fact that, being in balance, being available for the kids, being, so then, the balance becomes the fulcrum of how you run your life, as compared to just leaning towards, building career and stuff like that, isn't it?
I think balance, time, and change of framework sort of encapsulate what patience is, right? Like,
there's an interesting twist in this road. If we think about it, we sound like those guys, who've left their careers behind, and then, really focused on family and focused on balance and whatnot, right? But what about purpose in real life, right? I think as Christians, purpose is also a factor, right? How does purpose and patience work together?
Let me give you a very good example, and this sort of goes back to what you're saying. It's not that we've left our careers behind, really. It's that we've maybe, like, at least for me, and I can speak for myself, and maybe you'll understand because you've sort of been on this journey with me, but my focus shifted long term. Like, so for example, now I have this job,
okay,
and I'm in a leadership position, but even change within the organization. Previously, I used to get frustrated that change isn't happening or that I'm not bringing the impact that I wanted to see in the organization. So I used to leave. So I used to be like, I'm done, like next level or next salary or next career. But now it's like I'm seeing the long game. And I work with very I mean, very young people. I'm making myself look old. I'm not that old yet, but I work with people, let me say 8
Who's to
years,
say,
6
bro?
years, maybe 10 years younger than me. And the interesting thing is, they come to me with that exact same ambition and frustration. And they'll be like, oh, there's so many problems in this place, or in the warehouses, these things need to get fixed and this is leaking. And I tell them, look, I present to them all the work that's being done, all the good things that are being done, and then all the challenges. And I say, it's a matter of priority and it's a matter of time. It's not that we don't see these challenges, but it's not something that can get fixed within the 3 months that you're volunteering for us, or within the 3-month period that you're here. These are long-term things, and I have my eye on them, but for the long term. And you're here for 3 months. So, it's not about leaving your career behind. In fact, it's giving you better perspective and better purpose, because you're seeing the long game. It's the same thing with my growth in Christianity, but also, for example, now leading others, leading my children, leading the youth that we have at church, leading friends, also being influenced by friends. It's a long game, for example, you might see certain characteristics about me that you don't appreciate as a friend, but it's not like, oh, he hasn't changed in 2 months, I'm leaving that. It's a long...
He hasn't.
Probably not, guys. But it's a long view. It's a long view.
Yeah,
and if you can have that long view, that's when you actually see purpose fulfilled. And that is what has purpose, right? I think impatience can lead to delay. Impatience
Absolutely.
can lead to getting out of purpose. And if we are patient, we can allow God to move instead of just us moving through our own will. I think by being patient, we can let go. Like you said earlier, the key to this channel and the way it works is us just letting go and saying, you know what? God will move.
Yeah.
And when we're inspired, we'll work together when we have the time, but not forcing it. And I think that's created this natural way of it, allowing the channel to grow and allowing you viewers to get to know our journey and get to know us better as a collective. And I think being patient also gives us time to reflect on God and to really reflect on where we're at with our hearts. And so I'm going to read this verse out. But
I think you missed out one thing, right?
Go ahead,
The peace and humility that you spoke about.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Right?
And I think this verse speaks exactly about that. I'm going to read Ephesians 4:2, TPT version. With tender humility and quiet patience, always demonstrate gentleness and generous love toward one another, especially toward those who may try your patience. And this just reminds me, isn't God our Father patient with us?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. All right, y'all. Have a blessed time.
Peace.
Time to grow.